Solvency II represents unprecedented change in risk and capital management for the European insurance market. For the last 3 years, Deloitte has commissioned the Economist Intelligence Unit to survey 60 insurers with UK operations and analyse their findings. I'll be discussing the survey results with Monica Woodley, Solvency II Survey Editor at the Economist Intelligence Unit, and Rick Lester, UK Solvency II Lead Partner for Deloitte. So Monica, tell me how the survey is produced.
The Economist Intelligence Unit, we have a survey panel of 130,000 senior executives from around the world. So for each survey, we choose the people that are appropriate to answer the survey, and then we also ensure that we reach a number so that it's representative of the market that we are targeting.
Certainly the key reason that we work with the Economist Intelligence Unit is that ability to report the facts in an unbiased way across a diverse spectrum of insurers. And given this is the third year, we can also start to identify trends in developments and progress across Solvency II. And I certainly know from my interactions with insurers that they hugely value those quantitative points of view which come out of a study such as this.
So what were the big issues coming out of the survey?
There were certainly some interesting themes coming through in terms of insurers changing their approach to Solvency II, some of the effects on costs of the delay, as well as some of the practical challenges that insurers are facing around the transition. But to me, the standout finding related to confidence, and that was pertaining to the European insurance industry's ability to meet the Solvency II requirements in time. And we've certainly seen a deterioration in the level of confidence, and that's despite there being delay to the introduction of the new regime.
That's right. I think because it is the third year that we've conducted this survey, we could really compare the confidence levels changing over time. And what we found when we asked how confident people were of the industry as a whole reaching the compliance deadline, last year we had almost half of respondents saying that they were confident or very confident. This year that dropped down to 43%. And then on the other end of the scale of those that said that they were concerned or very concerned, last year it was less than a quarter of respondents that were concerned. This year, 37%. So quite a good increase there in the number concerned. Of course, when we asked people about their confidence in their own organization reaching the deadline, the confidence levels were much higher. There we saw, I think it was about 3/4 of respondents say that they were confident or very confident.
So that's a positive. But Rick, what do you think continues to drive that negative trend that you mentioned?
I think the primary underlying driver is the continued uncertainty around where the regulations are ultimately going to land. And the fact is, we're probably not going to know that until relatively close to the go-live date. So we've got insurers and also supervisors are going to have a relatively short time frame from when the rules of the game become fully known to when they actually have to implement.
That's right. We certainly saw with the survey that about 42% said that their biggest concern was the impact that Solvency II regulations would have on their business, and then another third saying that their big concern was clarification from both the European and the local regulators.
Certainly over the last 12 months, I've seen a shift in the focus of concern from things which are very much within the control of insurers, so concerns around, for example, sponsorship engagement, budgets, resources, interdependencies with other change programs, and now much greater focus on things which they've got much less influence over, particularly around the regulatory agenda. And in addition to the things that you talked through there, Monica, concern around consistency of application across Europe, concern around the timeframes, and also for internal model firms, concerns relating to the actual approval process of those internal models.
It's understandable that there continue to be concerns in those areas, but how has that affected insurers' preparations and focus?
What we're seeing is fewer insurers looking to restructure their business. Last year, about 47% said that they were considering that. This year, it was less than a quarter. So I think that those that were looking to make those kinds of changes have perhaps already started to do so. But what we are seeing now is a real shift to a focus on products and pricing. 36% of general insurers said that they plan to reprice their products in the run-up to Solvency II, and then about 26% of life companies saying that they're looking to change their product mix.
We've certainly seen Solvency II programmes maturing, and also the attitude of insurers, and a number looking at the levers that can influence the capital requirement, obviously given the uncertain backdrop around Solvency II. And certainly over the last 12 months we've seen insurers looking to reinsure and instigate risk mitigation strategies around those more capital intensive lines of business and products. Particularly interesting, I thought, was the fact that 17% of insurers expected to adopt a material change to their investment strategy when Solvency II takes effect. And I think as we get more clarity around the capital requirements and capital treatments, we'll see increased focus in that area.
We've heard a lot this year about delays to the finalisation of the regulations and the impact on the industry. Undoubtedly a double-edged sword, as there's more time to prepare, but the costs of Solvency II implementation programmes are rising.
Yes, definitely. We found over 2/3 of our survey respondents said that their cost for the implementation programme has increased by up to 10%.
We've effectively seen a 12-month delay for firms to meet Solvency II requirements, and I've certainly seen a number of insurers looking to transition their Solvency II preparation and implementation into the business as usual environment. But even where they achieve that, that still leaves some residual activity that needs to be performed within the programme. So they still need to monitor the regulatory agenda. They still need to understand how those changes impact the assumptions and the decisions that they've previously taken. And for internal model firms, they still need to facilitate the internal model approval process. So there's still a continuing cost associated with that delay.
We've seen definitely that the smallest insurers are the ones that have been most impacted on the cost size, unsurprisingly. But I think there are a host of other concerns that are coming up. One is the transition from the regime into business as usual, and then there's also concern about losing the momentum of their implementation process.
I think that concern relating to transition, that's probably due to the key challenge and practical issues associated with maintaining business engagement, and also a willingness to take on Solvency II into the business as usual environment when there continues to be a lot of uncertainty.
The survey indicates that a majority of insurers, some 62%, are expecting to transition to Solvency II in 2013. But do they think it will have been worth it?
Well, we found a really divided view in that area. Over half of the respondents said that they had seen some or significant tangible business benefits, but then we had a rather pessimistic 27% who said that they haven't seen any benefits and don't expect to either.
I think there's certainly a number of insurers who've really embraced Solvency II and are looking to gain every single competitive advantage they can out of that investment. However, there are still 27% of insurers who see Solvency II as nothing more than a compliance requirement. And I think it does beg the question as to whether those firms are actually getting the benefit that they could out of their Solvency II investment. We all know that Solvency II has got a very significant mandatory cost tag attaching to it. And I think interestingly from this survey we also explored the ongoing run costs of Solvency II, and 42% of the sample identified that the additional annual costs of running in Solvency II go live state would be in excess of 5% of their implementation costs. So if you combine the ongoing run costs with the programme costs, that's quite a significant pill to swallow if you're not going to get any benefit from it.
Monica, Rick, thank you for taking us through a handful of the insights in this year's Solvency II survey. The full Solvency II survey for 2012 can be accessed on Deloitte's dedicated Solvency II portal, and we hope it gives you some insight into the direction in which insurers are heading. Thank you for watching.